You are still bleeding. The ominous warnings flashed. They had to survive. Hauling themselves forward in so much pain, another system notification, made him mad and cursing it. Him now thinks positive things of crawling like, it was preventing from hurting an injured leg, and he will not snap into another trap. Another trap passes by, there's another one. His bleeding was worsening as the time passed. The bleeding was getting worse by the step. As he was reaching his limit, he starts to think of getting help. Enduring the pain, he thinks of moving in a straight line is the best choice he had. Now thinking about past, about the guy he met at ceremony died or regained his original body. Now the time passes, his bleeding not stopping for a second, leaving him with only his 5% health. A voice echoed in their mind. If you do not receive treatment soon, the character may die. Him struggling his way forward towards the light. Thinks he is doing well as he was coming close to the light. They stumbled. Another fall. The world spun. I need to get to a lighter area. Their vision tunneled. I'm sure there's bound to be 1 or 2 people who can help. A cruel voice shattered their hope. What a joke. A sinister figure mocked them. Why would they help a dying barbarian like you? Their sanity frayed. I think I'm really going insane. Now I'm seeing illusions. You'll probably run into a monster before you encounter a human. Their sense of self fractured. My identity keeps splitting into 2, joining back again, and getting dull again. I need to survive no matter what. Survive. Just look at you. How do you plan on doing that? Somebody, anybody, please. Loser, you're gonna die soon, aren't you? Just give up. Then you can be comfortable. I won't give up, no matter what. Then, a sudden, blinding light. But the stark reality remained. Warning, there is less than 4% remaining of the character's vitality. A final, desperate plea. Please, anyone. Figures descending from above. An adventurer? He exclaimed. Drouse, there's a dying barbarian over there. 2 men talking. The warnings continued, relentless. There is less than 4% remaining of the character's vitality. Against all odds. Achievement accomplished condition. Vitality drops below 2% reward. Your mental stat will keep rising by +1. One person looked at him and says he is a novice, while Barbarian thinks to help him already. Then we see a party of 5 people being suspicious of him. One man asked, how did a novice get here faster than us? Hell, gore. They tried to speak, but no words came. I can't even talk. Don't just stare at me and help me. The armored figure above remained impassive. With a smile on his face, he looked to his party member for help. Priestess Ursina, do you think you could treat this man? Another voice exclaimed. What? There's a priestess in your party. Barbarian getting relieved thinks. I'm safe. He was cut in his mid-thought. I refuse. High Priestess denied watching down on the barbarian. Drouse scrutinized the recovering barbarian, a hint of amusement in his tone. He looked to one of his men asking him for a potion. As he had lods, he tried to argue with him for a bit before handing out one of his potion. Him now warning Barbarian about the pain he is going to feel, while Barbarian don't mind at all. Pouring the potion onto the leg of the Barbarian, smoke erupted. His vitality was going back to normal at fast pace. This made Bjorn eyes wide, not able to understand what is going on, as pain worse than ever rushes through him, made him cry louder than ever. Him now feeling like body melt as well as realizing, to not use this in mid-battle. As the potion bottle gets empty, Barbarian out of breath. His foot healed as new without any left marking, stood up in a sense of relief from imminent danger. Bjorn thought he was really going to die but got lucky. Now the man who saved him asked him again, how he got there before them. And even offering to buy that info, Bjorn realizes his motive now looks at him. Finally spoke. I don't know. As soon as I stepped into the labyrinth, I was here. The man goes deep in his thoughts, checking his info. He thinks that this can happen, but only one every 100 years. Once every 100 years, the Barbarian responded. They have a mage and priestess in this party, meaning they are at least mid to high level. Drouse turned away from the recovering Barbarian with a dismissive wave of his hand. Interesting story. Thanks. You may leave. Never mind the cost for the potion. Drouse said. The Barbarian considered their situation. Time spent within the labyrinth is as precious as gold. Him seeing the party leaving thinks, it's miracle they gave him this much time. Grabbing his shield from the floor, the Barbarian, now standing, I should be happy that I survived, but it felt disgusting to be pitted. The man party going through cave in a line. Drouse, speaking to Patron, commented, "That barbarian was really lucky. Lucky. He went through all that from the start. I'm saying he's lucky he met us." Girl from the back denies him as he was luck to met Drouse, not him. "Don't you think so, too, priestess?" Priestess Erzina remained silent. If it weren't for the regulations of the temple, she would have healed him. Then, turning to Patron, "Patron, you should really learn a thing or two from us." Drouse, hearing this, gave a wide, insincere smile. "Ha ha, you're too kind," one of Drouse's companions asked. "But when is this barbarian's blood trail going to stop?" Another voice, "Judging from the mentality of the barbarian so far, I don't think he was all that lucky like you said." Drawn pointing to the shortcut while other praise him for his guidance. Two women talking that how includable Drouse is for memorizing entire floor map, while other can't do that. A sudden stop, Drouse notices something. He saw a door and thinks of their luck to be first one there. Drouse, with a touch of his hand on a stone pedestal, opens up the portal with glowing white light coming from it, commanding his team to go as it will lead them to next floor. Woman while going in notices something and asks everyone to wait. Everyone with serious expression watches her. She noticed the sandal of the barbarian they met laying close to the trap. The old man casting a spell agreeing with her, sends a trail of light to the cave where the train of blood goes. This makes everyone in shock and in disbelief as they have never seen something like this before. Old man, surprised, asked how long it would take to reach the area where they first encountered the barbarian. He was told it would be about 15 kilometers without the shortcut. The older mage commented on the barbarian's monstrous determination in crawling such a long way in complete darkness. The woman with the ponytail was shocked and questioned the barbarian's sanity. Someone wondered if they themselves would have crawled for hours without certainty. Patron realized the barbarian was holding out his right hand towards them, a gesture he didn't understand at the time. Holding a gem even after crawling so much. Drouse's face looked not able to understand barbarian's gesture. Patron said, "Since he wouldn't have had anything else to trade, I take back what I said earlier." "What was that barbarian's name?" someone asked. "He was just lucky?" "Not at all. Such lunatics will not die unless it's a special circumstance." The scene flashed to a close-up of the barbarian's face, contorted in a primal scream, and no matter how hard things are or how much agony they must face, they will never treat death as an escape route. The echoing pronouncements, "You have defeated the goblin." He kept running into goblins, a relentless tide of green-skinned ferocity. "They keep coming." He'd been nervous at first, but since his vision had returned, the goblins were no real threat. The traps were randomly placed on the ground, he thought. Idiots, at least cover it with dirt or something. Their ambush had been predictable, their hiding places obvious. "Where are you going?" he roared at a fleeing goblin. The only problem was, he thought, his brow furrowed. "I'm so hungry." He vaguely recalled, "I'm pretty sure the deputy chief gave me some food." He reached for his belt pouch. It was lighter than he remembered. Was it the wrong decision to crawl on the ground, finding only a meager amount left? Out of the 7 days' worth of rations, 5 days were gone. He chewed slowly. "I guess I'll just have to eat as little as possible." Each bite of the crusty dehydrated bread was surprisingly delicious, but the dryness lingered. "I'm getting thirsty." He scanned the dimly lit cavern. "Where am I going to get water?" In Dungeon and Stone, there is a hunger system. The memory of the game surfaced. But this isn't a game. It was already such a hardcore game, but since it became reality, the difficulty is out of this world. He looked around at the alien landscape. "This is just another world that happens to be similar to a game that I know. Since the deputy chief didn't give me water, I'm sure there's a supply of water in the labyrinth somewhere." Then he heard it. The sound of water. He followed the faint trickle and stopped short. "A person!" As he approached, the person looked up. "Aside from that blondie's party, this was my first encounter." But there was no conversation. The other person simply got up and walked away. It's as if there's an unspoken rule not to interact with other adventurers unless absolutely necessary. Alone again, he focused on the glowing pink crystals dotting the cavern floor. "I collected a lot." He sat down, leaning against a rocky outcrop. But there's another problem. A wave of exhaustion washed over him. "I'm so tired." There are 2 ways in which you can sleep in the labyrinth. First, you leave your life in the hands of God and sleep. Or second, find allies to protect each other. The two exchanged uneasy glances. "I am sorry," while the other declared, But we already have all the necessary members for our party. Our party is full. We're not keen on barbarians. He was left standing alone as they moved past him. But to think I would be rejected by all of them. His jaw tightened. His eyes narrowed. He turned back towards the departing group. It's not like I'm requesting to join your party officially. Hey, he saw one of them turn. Are you perhaps? The man began, looking for an overnight companion. The man offered, a hopeful smile on his face. What did you say? He growled, his eyes narrowed with suspicion. Who's this guy? The smiling man's expression faltered slightly. I guess you weren't looking for an overnight companion. A sudden realization struck the warrior. I am looking for an overnight companion. Relief washed over the friendly man's face. Then stay with me. My name is Hans. The warrior finally met Hans's gaze. I will. Reaching out to take Hans's hand. My name is Bjorn. Their hands clasped. It's best Tio have 3 overnight companions, but it seems like a waste of time Tio keep looking around for another member. A slight blush on his cheek. So why don't just the 2 of us spend the night? Bjorn's internal reaction was clear. Is it because of that guy's manner of speaking? Something seems strange, he thought, clearly uncomfortable with Hans's implication. All right, why don't we do rock, paper, scissors to decide who sleeps first? Hans grinned. Oh ho, I won. I can sleep first, right? Bjorn looked at Hans. All right, he conceded. I knew I was going to lose. Since I have no luck. Hans held out a pocket watch. You can wake me up when the short hand reaches here. A flicker of annoyance in his eyes. I guess he thought barbarians don't know how to read the time. He examined the pocket watch in his hand. I'm sure this is how most people look at barbarians. The scene shifted to Hans, already asleep. Is that what an experienced adventurer is like? Looking at Hans's sleeping bag. Would he lend me his sleeping bag if I asked for it? It's so boring since there aren't any goblins or adventurers. His gaze fixed on the moving hands. Hurry up time, he thought impatiently. The short hand was slowly approaching the Roman numeral 3. Hans, get up. Bjorn was shown shaking Hans awake. Hans, looking groggy, asked, did anything happen? All right, thanks. You should get some sleep too. I'll wake you up in 2 hours. Bjorn nodded. However, a close-up of Bjorn's eye revealed his inner turmoil. There's no way I could rest. Filled with suspicion. How do I trust someone I just met? The scene then showed Bjorn lying on the ground, seemingly asleep with his mouth open, like a savage who's had a long day. I hope he doesn't notice. Nope, it's working like a charm, since they assume that barbarians are simpletons. All right, the dumb barbarian is sleeping like a log. The perspective shifted to Bjorn's slightly open eye. I'm sure he'll act if he's got ulterior motives. The next image showed Bjorn abruptly sitting up. I didn't sleep a wink. His eyes narrowed with suspicion and a hint of frustration. For 2 hours, did nothing. Hans, still sound asleep with his mouth open. I should have slept. What did I do? Hans asleep in his sleeping bag and Bjorn sitting upright. But there's no way I would let my guard down so easily around a complete stranger. Though I feel like I'm going to die from fatigue. His eyes heavy. I can't fall asleep. Above his head, the letters Bjorn. Bjorn's eyes snapped open. Hans reaching out to touch Bjorn's shoulder with a concerned expression. I wasn't sleeping. Why don't you wipe off the drool on your face first? Wiping his mouth with his arm. Sorry, Hans said. Well, it's all right. Thankfully, nothing happened while you were sleeping, so I won't say much. Seemingly oblivious, offered. Thanks. If you want, you can sleep more. I'll stand guard. Hans then smiled warmly at Bjorn. You look tired. Why don't you sleep since it's my turn to stand guard? Bjorn eyed Hans with a mixture of suspicion and exhaustion. Thanks. The scene then flashed back to Hans's initial approach. He seemed nice. He spoke to me first since I was in a tough situation, but didn't blame me for falling asleep, he considered, and refused to be compensated for my mistake. Bjorn thinks that the game he knows, while laying on the floor sleeping, there was no one. That was nice. He opens his eyes in middle of his sleep. He saw Hans on his head asking him is he up, now focused on huge hammer ready to slam Bjorn's head, asking him to sleep more. While Bjorn lays around in shock still sleepy. Hans smashes his hammer on ground. Bjorn dodging the hammer. Pulls back with his shield guarding himself from any other attack. Hans in shock as his attack failed and he dodged, muscles corded and etched with tribal tattoos, stood over his fallen opponent. His crimson eyes stared down at the trembling form below. Wait, listen to me for a moment. the purple-haired man stammered. But the barbarian warrior's gaze was unwavering. Crushing blow followed, the impact a sickening thud. The purple-haired man cried out, blood splattering the cavern floor. The barbarian's boot came down hard, pinning the other man. Wait, I can explain, the purple-haired man pleaded. The barbarian's gaze narrowed. He didn't die with one hit, then I need to strike him one more. With a savage yell, the barbarian brought his shield down with brutal force. The purple-haired man screamed, the sound cut short by the impact. He lay still for a moment, then gasped, as if narrowly escaping death. The barbarian loomed over him. I am sorry, the purple-haired man choked out. Please, let me live, he begged, reaching out a trembling hand. The barbarian's face was a mask of fury. Why did you do it? He demanded. The purple-haired man confessed. I wanted your magic crystals. I was going to knock you out and just take them. Believe me, I was going to take your shield, too. Yeah, the barbarian sneered. Yes. Will you let me go? He's still hiding something. Another brutal strike landed. The barbarian stood over him. This is the last time. Be honest. Bjorn thinks that it's serious to kill someone, but there has to be another reason. Hans replying your heart. Bjorn, not able to understand, asks him, what does that mean? Hans explains as the price of their hearts are steep and are used as ingredients for new spells. Now Bjorn understood that he was just goblin for Hans, which is tough to catch, but if you catch and kill, it's precious enough to give a big reward. Bjorn asking him about why he did not attack him first time. He replies as he needed some rest too, sensing his impending doom, made one final, desperate plea. But since I told you everything, you'll forgive me, right? The barbarian stood silent for a long moment, a cruel smile stretched across his lips. Forgive, he echoed. I'm probably going to run into more people like you, and they'll say the same thing to me, right? Do you really think that I'm going to? The barbarian thought. Forgive them every time. No, of course not. I'm not like those people. But the barbarian's mind was made up. Raising his bloodied fist, he declared, his bloodied hand still weakly gripping the chain. Only one day after entering this game world, a detached thought echoed within him. He looked down at his bloodied hands. I killed a man. A notification flashed in his vision. Achievement accomplished. 2 days since entering the game. He observed his gear, the shoulder pad, the backpack, the hammer, the shield, each acquisition marked by a subtle increase in power. I graduated from living like a savage. I drank water from my bottle when I became thirsty, used my compass when I wanted to know which direction I should go, looked at the pocket watch when I wanted to know the time, and was able to treat injuries with bandages and potions. Isn't it ironic? Only when I killed a man was I able to start living like a man. He turned his back on the fallen figure and began to walk away, deeper into the glowing cavern. He soon encountered more threats, goblin-like creatures. With one hit of my hammer, the goblin disappears. He now thinking that should he have chosen weapon from beginning, or is it because he has body of barbarian? Suddenly, he stopped. 2 more goblins stood before him, their crude weapons raised. Since it's the second day, the goblins have started appearing in pairs. My battle stats have gone up thanks to my new weapon, and my progress is going smoothly, he thought, each fallen enemy a testament to his growing power. Smashing all goblins in his way. He dispatched them quickly, but the constant fighting began to take its toll. I'm going to die from fatigue, he thought. He leaned against a cold rock wall. I may not have an overnight companion, but I might be better off without one. Jolted him awake. His eyes snapped open to see a goblin. As soon as I start to doze off by myself, they decide to show up. Rage surged through his weary body. It hasn't even been 10 minutes. A brutal swing of his hammer connected with a sickening crunch. Since I killed all of them within my sight, please stop appearing, he pleaded silently. Please let me sleep just a little. The character has been attacked by a goblin in their sleep. A sharp stab of pain in his shoulder ripped him back to consciousness. His eyes widened in disbelief and fury. I didn't sense it at all. Another furious strike echoed through the cavern. The goblin, caught off guard by the sudden counterattack, recoiled in surprise. Bjorn commands next, as he stands on the pile of goblin body, while the last goblin in fear runs away seeing his family die. Bjorn in pain thinks that he could have died there if the stab was on his throat. To think he did not even sense them gives him more reason to sleep, opening a healing tube. How is it that healing with the potion hurts more than being stabbed? The pain intense but necessary. He finally managed to get back on his feet. It's about time people started looking for overnight companions. But I can't trust anyone now that I know how valuable barbarian hearts are. Let's look for a barbarian. However, his search was quickly interrupted. Hey, barbarian, are you looking for an overnight companion? The barbarian's immediate reaction was one of suspicion. The encounter continued as the humans persisted. The barbarian found himself in a tense standoff with these humans. I'm looking for another barbarian, he stated. The man he was asking tells him that it would be difficult as all barbarians would have gone to upper floors. Him now agreeing as it was laughable, with his body to be struggling on first floor. Other man saying their byes and blessing him, thinks to give up on finding barbarian. Now he just wanted an overnight companion which could be anyone but human. He thinks of having an elf, as they keep their promise, or even dwarfs would do. But it doesn't matter as long as they're another species. They wouldn't harm other adventurers being blinded by chump change like humans. After making this decision, the barbarian found himself roaming the dark, damp confines of a cave for about an hour. Suddenly, his eyes widened in surprise. Ahead, seated alone against a cold stone wall, as he drew closer, the figure was revealed to be an elf. However, her posture was one of distress. Her luminous golden eyes flickered upwards, meeting his gaze. Found you. A stark message then appeared, clarifying the situation. You have encountered and injured ELF.